good boys and good girls, and bad boys and bad girls alike. Welcome to episode 12 of Laser Show, simply the best podcast. Today, we're still talking about the boy with no brain. This is part 3. Just got back from a little run of shows. A 4 show chunk. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, a 5 show chunk. A 4 city, 5 show chunk on the East Coast. Doing a little comedy tour right now. It's really split into 3 chunks. I did a medium chunk at first. I'll do a big chunk in December, and this was just a little chunk. I was looking forward to this chunk because it was kind of like a short chunk. Do you guys like the word chunk? Because this was like a short chunk. It was only 5 days. And I get to see friends and family when I go back east. And it was just 1 show a night. There was no 2 show nights, and I hate 2 show nights. If you're seeing me on a 2 show night, thank you for coming, but I'm pissed. The whole situation stresses me out. 2 shows, get real. Why is that a thing? I don't need to do 2 shows. I'm not packing out 2 shows. I don't need a 7 and a 9. Get with half the amount. Give me an 8 o'clock, and then everyone will go to that. And then I only have to do 1 show. And then the crowd is bigger. Anyway, so I didn't have to do that on this run of shows, is what I'm saying. I took this chunk is simply DC, Philly, Massachusetts, and then Connecticut. My Philly show, boy, will we get to that. Because that was a last-minute Hail Mary. So that was pretty wild. I guess we could just talk about that first, since the Hail Mary already happened. So before this run of shows happened, so I was going to fly out on Halloween night. A Tuesday night. And first show starts on Wednesday. DC, Red Lion, Pennsylvania. And then 2 shows in Mass, and then Connecticut. And it must have been 3, I think it was 3 days before. So I guess it was Saturday? It must have been Saturday. That I got a call from Red Lion. The owner of or at least the booker of I think an owner or a part owner. Yeah, owner. Of this brewery in Red Lion, Pennsylvania. It's called Double Barrel. And I booked this show because I had a fucking Wednesday in DC and a Saturday in Massachusetts and a Friday in Massachusetts and then nothing on that Thursday. And I'm like, well, it's only like one night that I really need to fill, and there's a stretch of only 5 nights. So I was like, screw it, I gotta try to find something. So I was emailing a lot of people in everything in between DC and Springfield, Massachusetts. It's a lot of Philly. I emailed Philly people, Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, fucking Scranton, just like a bunch of Philadelphia and Delaware and stuff, and even Baltimore. I was like, maybe I'll even just at least do like an hour north. I'm hitting up so many people. And Red Lion was the only one. And I reached out to people in Philly too, and nothing could get going. And then, so this one brewery in Red Lion had reached out. And they said, sure. And they're like new to doing comedy. They don't really know what they're doing. It was kind of, it was really nice of them to let me do the show. But I did happen to, just like a week before, look at their website, and they have like huge concerts. They have cover bands come in and do these huge concerts with a shit ton of people. And I was like, oh my God, that venue is really big. So it's going to be, so I already knew that it was going to be kind of like just like an awkward show, a gigantic concert venue. And then I can't imagine I'm going to sell a whole lot of tickets. And when you know, that's exactly what happened. But I didn't think they would cancel the show, but I got a call on that Saturday. And she goes, give me a call back. We need to talk about ticket sales. We need to talk about ticket sales. And that sounded ominous. I'm like, oh, Jesus. She sounded really upset. I was like, did we lose? Did we sell negative tickets? Do I have to pay now? Do I owe money? I was pretty nervous calling this woman, and she says, look, ticket sales are bad. Well, at first she was very apologetic. And I'm like, I asked you to do the show, don't be apologetic. But she was like, we're just new to comedy. We put up flyers all over town and stuff. And they did post on their Instagram. And then she says, but we only sold 10 tickets. And I know what you're thinking, folks. That's really not a lot of tickets. But I know that, but it's not like I've done less. If you follow this podcast, you know I did a show for 4 people last month. So 10, 3 days before the show starts, and we usually get some walk-ups. People sometimes procrastinate and buy their tickets late. It probably would have been like 15 to 20 people, I think. And I think that's fine. I would love it to be more, but what can you do? That's kind of not too crazy. But she was like, we got to cancel. Especially in a town like Red Lion, Pennsylvania, which is named after a tavern from the early 1900s. The Red Lion Tavern. It's like one of those towns. So I think seems like the whole town bought tickets. Sounds like to me. But she says that the venue seats, you can fit 1,000. I'm like, 1,000? So that is I was right. And what I saw on their website, it is a gigantic space. And she thinks 10 people there would have been awkward, and she's right. It would have been a crappy show. But I've done like a lot of shows like that, to be honest. At this point, I'm doing some big buildings. And really small. My Redmond, it's all the red places. My Redmond, Oregon show was only at 20-something people, but it was a huge, huge room. That was with no opener and no feature. And I did an hour and 20 minutes in a huge room. It was like a big old barn. So I was like, oh, it's really annoying that got canceled. Now I don't know what to do. And so this is like 3 days before this little chunk. I hit up the guy who runs Don't Tell Comedy in Philly. I think I've mentioned Don't Tell Comedy in every episode. It's just, I'm always talking about it, but it's a great thing. I really like it. And so I reached out to the guy who runs Don't Tell in Philly. I was like, you got a spot on a Don't Tell show? I'll pop in and I'll just lose money. What can you do? But then he's like, let me try to see if I can find a venue for you. And then within like 2 hours, hits me back and he's like, we got a spot for you. It's a small spot. Fits like 50 or so. And yeah, you can like headline. We can have some people open. It's like, oh shit, it just happened so fast. And so I was like, okay, so we booked that and we put the tickets on sale and sold a few tickets. And I was really excited to have booked that. And then the trip begins. Now we're back at where the trip begins. I take a red eye. Here's my big plan. Since my run of shows starts in D.C., but ends outside of New York, in Stamford, Connecticut, I'm going to fly into New York and then rent a car in New York and drive down to D.C. for my first show. And then at the end, after I'm renting my car and I end in Connecticut, I can then fly back out of New York and return the rental car to New York and JFK, and I'll save all that money. So I'm at this point where I'm really trying to save as much money as I can. You know. And so I've been doing things like that and staying in places that there may or may not be bed bugs. And you try to find a happy medium of saving money and being okay. And I thought this was okay. It would be a 4-hour drive, it said online, from New York to D.C., and then I would park my car and start my run of shows in D.C. And it was 6 hours. It was a 6-hour drive, and it was a bad drive. Fucking New York to D.C. sucks so bad. Driving, it made me drive. I don't know, maybe I have like no good roads selected on my Google Maps or something, but Google Maps won't send me any damn good roads. I might have like no tolls selected or something like that, because where are you taking me sometimes, Google Maps? I just went straight through like the heart of fucking like downtown New York. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the neighborhoods are. Wall Street. Yeah, down towards the bottom. And it was really jam-packed. But anyway, so that's what you got to do when you get out of New York. And DC is not much better, and there's all these crappy little neighborhoods in between. And the flight there, I got a middle seat because I took a JetBlue fucking basic economy where you can't choose a seat and whatever. So it's just shit like that, where I'm just trying to save a buck, and it does suck. And I watched Renfield on the red eye flight, and I didn't sleep at all because I can't sleep on planes at all. And I can nod in and out, on and off a little bit. And that's about it. And then I got to New York, and I'm so tired. And then I had to drive 6 scary hours. It sucked. So that sucked. And, I gotta, I'll probably do it again. Who am I kidding? I do stuff like that a lot. That's part of the adventure of it. It's not just about the shows and the people you meet. It's about pushing your brain consciously to levels that you didn't know you could. See how long you could stay conscious and not eat and shit like that. That's part of the fun of it, I think. That's what I think. And so I got to DC, and the show's at a place called the Comedy Loft, and it's very sick. It's like an old building, and it's downstairs. It's upstairs. There's a bar downstairs, and the showroom is upstairs, and it's like a really old kind of building. That's old, kitschy stuff, and oval mirrors, and on the walls, and wallpaper. I don't know, but it's a really cool small multi-room kind of venue, and they treat you like a king. They really want you to treat you like a king. Oh, my agent Stu put the fear of God into these people. Stu called me before, and he was like, "Hey, at Comedy Loft, tell them if they don't pay you before you go up." Stu's my agent. And he was like, my last person didn't get paid. He was like, "Tell them that if they don't pay you before the show, you're not going on." Would you ever say that? And Stu and I are still getting to know each other. He's a new agent, and so we don't know each other that well. So if he knew me at all, he knew that I would never ever say that. And he goes, "Would you be comfortable saying that?" And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna say that." I was like, "I have friends coming to that show. I'm gonna do the show anyway." I had one friend come to that show. My friend Sally was coming to that show, and I was like, "I'm gonna do the show." I have one friend coming. And he's like, "All right, well then, if you're not gonna not do the show, then don't bother bringing it up." I was like, "Okay, yeah." He's like, "I'll just send him an email and remind him." And so then when I got there, we were hanging out with some of the other comics, and the manager comes in, he's holding his phone. He goes, "Hey, the booker wants to talk to you." I was like, "Oh God!" Just in the green room, and I take the phone. I was like, "Hello," and he was like, "Ryan, I just want to let you know." The money I'm gonna pay you right now. I'm gonna pay you on Venmo right now, and I can't be there, but I hope you have a great show. And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, thanks, man." And I never met that guy, but he called me just to let me know that, and he did. He Venmo'd me. I don't know if it was before the show, but it was shortly after the show, and that was great. So payment was great, and show was fantastic. What a great crowd. DC's always a good time. Cool, smart folk, especially on a Wednesday night. Maybe. Yeah, just my usual 30. I usually get about 30. And super, super supportive, fun crowd. They were in it. They were in it to win it. They were in it from the start of my set. And so this place, they take a ton of pictures. If anyone came to that show, they took a lot of pictures, with that professional camera of me, and so a lot of people were wanting to take pictures, which was awesome. But if you want a picture of that they took with the fancy camera, just hit me up on Instagram or something, and I'll try to find it. They sent me all those photos today. They sent me 170 photos today. I'm like, thank you. So I just have those photos, by the way, if anyone wants them. And but they did a good job with they gave me a new thing that I'm gonna start doing now. They were like, I have merch. They're like, want us to sell your merch? We can. And I was like, no, I'll sell it. I want to be there and sell it myself. But thank you for offering. And then send me a screenshot of your Venmo and your Cash App scanner QR code, and we'll print it out. I'm like, oh, dude, genius. So they did that, and it printed out, and they put it by my merch, and then people were just coming up and doing that because people don't know. People don't know what to ask. How much is it? How do I pay you? When there's the Venmo thing on the table, that's great. People ask less questions. and well, not that they ask less questions. It's just that ask less questions. It's just that they don't feel as embarrassed to, and they just feel more inclined to do the thing. So now I'm going to do that from now on. Print out a little thing. So I'm glad I shared that with you guys. Just my new process of how I'm going to be not selling this merch. But I've been selling it. They also did like a meet and greet kind of. They're like, line starts here. And when the club does that, people just like fall in line. I think a lot of times people just walk out the door and they say, good show. But when people start shepherding, making a line happen, meet and greet starts here, people don't know. They're like, all right, I guess I'll get in this line and do a meet and greet. And a lot of people, I think, probably want to sometimes and then just don't because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to pay for the merch. They don't know how to approach asking for a picture or anything, so they just leave. And so I'm learning. So this club helped me kind of learn that. I don't like the shepherding into the meet and greet because a lot of times people do not want to do the meet and greet and feel obligated, and it's just like awkward. But they were a very proactive club in that way. And so the next night, Philly show. Supposed to be a Red Lion show. Now doing a Philly show. The Red Lion show, it only got 10 people, 10 tickets in like 2 months. Philly show got like 33 or 34 tickets or 36 tickets or something like that in like 2 days. And they packed out this small room above a bar, and the crowd was so sick. Very fun. Just everyone. And the girl that was going to open for me in Red Lion, I asked if she wanted to come out, and she came out and did a set. She lived like an hour and a half away. She came out to the set, killed. Another comic, Betty, killed. Crowd, so tight, so into it, so energetic. They had so much energy. The crowd had so much energy. It was like, and the lighting was great. Oh, Betty was so worried about the lighting, and it was great. It's all about the ambiance. It's all about the vibe. So that show was fantastic. I had friends in Philly from LA in Philly, and so they happened to be in town, like 2 of my best friends. And then my friend Tony's parents were there. And, another comic, Blake. Blake opened the show. Blake Wexler, great comic. Check him out. He lives in Philly now. He came to watch the show, and I said, just come do the show. He got to just do the set. Killed. Everyone did great. But he came to just hang out. That's how loosey-goosey the show was. What a fun situation. That this show was so loosey-goosey and fun, and everything went so great, and it was born, and the whole crowd was created just no more than 2 days before. So I was very impressed with that situation. Philly's a fun-ass town. And then I went up to Springfield, Massachusetts. This was the show I was the most nervous for. Because my family was coming. And I'm always pretty nervous when my family comes. This was Western Mass, beautiful Western Mass in the first week of November. How lucky am I? There's nothing more beautiful except a good pair of tits. A pair of nice juicy tits. And then New England in the fall are my top 2. And so I went to Springfield, Mass. It's at a casino. Not only is it a casino, this club, the Roar Comedy Club, it's at MGM Springfield in Springfield, Mass. And they send an email that says, the club is in the Armory. The Armory is the castle-looking building outside of the casino. And I was like, what do they mean, a castle-looking building? What is it? I assume it's not like a castle-looking building. I'm sure they're exaggerating. And then I got to MGM Casino, and outside there's just like a full castle. And I go, wow, that's pretty cool. I guess they must have a bunch of cool stuff in the castle. And I went and I went to my room, the nicest room I've ever stayed in. In my life. It's got to be in my life. And I had 2 bathrooms. And separate living room and bedroom and shit. And bottles of water. There were 8 bottles of water just scattered throughout the room at different places. That's how nice this room was. We're talking 8 bottles. Yeah, they were half bottles of water. Okay. But they were spread out at every little table in the room. Wherever you were, if you got a little thirsty, you could have a little sip of something. Very impressed. And then, so then I went to go check out. Well, first my family was I'm getting dinner at Wahlburgers. So I went to go meet my family at Wahlburgers. Dude, first time me or any of the O'Flanagans have ever had Wahlburgers, and what a hit. We fucking loved Wahlburgers. I really like Wahlburgers. I'm gonna like go to Wahlburgers now, I think. It was such a good burger. Maybe I just haven't had enough burgers in my life, but I thought Wahlburgers was a really damn good burger. And so I'm gonna go meet them down there, and before I do that, I go to drop my merch off at the castle, and I go to the castle, and I assume it's like a room in the castle, and I try to open the door to the castle, and it won't open, and I peer in the window, and the whole castle is one giant room with just the ceilings go all the way up to the top of the castle. It's just one room, the whole castle, and it's completely filled with chairs. There was 300 chairs in this room. I think the lady said it was 280 chairs or something like that in this castle. And it's the whole floor is chairs, and I say, no, that can't be the comedy club. That's the whole castle. Generally in comedy, you want the room to be not huge, unless you're fucking doing crazy big whatever. But definitely like low ceilings is important. Low ceilings is pretty important. And a high ceiling, like a 15-foot ceiling, is like such a kind of vibe killer. But this was like a 60, 70-foot ceiling, and a wide open array of chairs, and it's just a cavernous space. And I'm like, no, please don't do this to me. And I fucking pull on the door enough. Finally, the manager comes out, lets me in. I go, hey, I'm Ryan. And she was super nice. I put my stuff in the green room, and I go to meet my parents. And the manager seemed fine. She didn't seem like she was concerned about it being such a giant room, and there was probably not going to be a giant amount of people. At Red Lion, I sold 10 tickets, man. I don't move a ton of tickets, but the shows are fun and fine, and I make money doing them. But I'm not filling like huge rooms. But I was like, oh well, this is plenty of chairs here. And she's like, yeah, it's about 260 or 280. And I was like, all right. And I went to go meet my family at Wahlburgers. Had a great time at Wahlburgers. Met the server. Our server, her name was Tammy, and Tammy was this cool lady. Nurse, Wahlburgers combo. Tammy, cool woman. Did the show. Went great. Was very good. Last time I performed at a casino in front of my family, I bombed really bad. So that was like 20-something people. This was just my parents and my sister and her friends. So we had 4 family. And then I had 2 of my friends from high school came to that show. And they're married. They started dating in high school, and now they're married and have 2 kids. They came, sat right up front. Just felt great. Felt great to see them. And family came, and I'm glad that show went well. And then the other 2 comics, they were fun guys as well, and that is a major downside of performing in a casino, is that I lose so much money. I don't gamble like crazy, really, but when I'm in a casino, and then the other comics were like fun too, and they wanted to go and gamble and shit, and then there's bars in the casino, and you just stay, it's all so close together, so it can get a bit fun, and you can lose a bit of money. And we're gambling, and we're doing roulette, and we're doing blackjack, and there's sports happening, and it's football season, and everything's expensive. So I spent a lot of money that weekend, especially with the host Andrew, who loved to gamble as well. And so we did all sorts of stuff like that. And then the next day, my family FaceTimes me, and they say, hey, we forgot to tell you, when you left I left Wahlburgers early to go to the show and not have to pay the tab. And apparently the waitress, Tammy, had realized as I was when she took my dad's credit card, because he paid because I didn't pay. And it said Kevin O'Flanagan. She said, oh, that was Ryan O'Flanagan. He said, yeah, you know him. She's like, oh, yeah, my daughter likes him or whatever. Saw him on whatever. Oh, and she goes, tell him to come back tomorrow and come say hi. And so my parents were like, you got to go say hi to Tammy. So I was like, all right. So I went to say hi to Tammy. at Wahlburgers before my set, and she was so happy. And all the other like people in the kitchen all came out, and they all met me too. And they didn't like one guy knew who I was. And then I think because two people were now talking to me, and I think like people just started coming over. And at one point, it was just like 5 employees being like, "Hi." I'm just going around shaking their hands. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Ryan. Hey, I'm Ryan." They're like, "Where?" This one girl was like, "Who is this? What is the hubbub?" I'm like, "I'm Ryan. I'm a performer. I heard Tammy's daughter knows me or something. I don't know. I'm nobody. Leave me alone. I'm nobody." But that was really nice. Show great once again. And then afterwards, party once again, far too much. Really lost all the koozie money I made. Because the koozie money, a lot of it's cash, and then good to have cash in the casino, and then I spend it until it's all gone. And then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually go to an ATM and I'll actually get more. And then I'll spend that till that's all gone. So that kind of sucks to do. But it is almost kind of fun, I suppose. And that was that Friday and Saturday. And then on Sunday I went to Stamford, Connecticut. This show I had more family and more. This was the most amount of people that came to see me that I know. Oh, by the way, the crowds in Springfield. First night was 80 people. Second night was 120 people. So the place was a little cavernous and like first show definitely mostly empty. I mean, that was plenty of people. Springfield, Mass. Huh? Who knew? I did not really think a whole ton of people were coming to that, but they have a kind of a built-in like fun-loving audience. A lot of people didn't know. Obviously, all those people didn't know me, but it was they kind of have like a fun built-in audience, and they were a fun audience. Like not all the shows at Mohegan a couple years ago where I bombed in front of my family. Obviously, we're all good crowds. They're kind of just like casino crowds. These seem more just like fun-loving, kind of younger crowds. So that was cool. But anyway, then Stamford, cool town. Cool town. They had a big hippopotamus in a tutu. There was a ballerina hippopotamus, a 2,000-pound, 15-foot bronze hippopotamus in front of the library. They have that until, I think, December. If you're in the Stamford area and you want to go see a 15-foot bronze ballerina hippopotamus, there is one in front of the library. You can't miss it. It was also a like a Veterans Day parade. There was a lot of veterans just strolling about and kids hula hooping. And I went to a bar to watch some football. I got there early on Sunday. Went to a bar to watch some football. And there were some veterans in there that were drinking to forget. It would seem they were getting a little scary, and they left probably to go to the parade. I didn't hear any sort of kerfuffle, so I guess they did fine out there. And the show was just great. Yeah, I had 2 cousins and a significant other, cousin's husband. I had got four college friends and another friend of hers. A bunch of people came out to support that I knew, and then a bunch of people that I didn't know and they were a really, really good crowd. A lot of people came up from New York. That's right outside of New York, Stamford is. And this club, I didn't like this club before I went. Because I didn't think they were promoting. And they didn't post on Instagram at all about the show until the day of. It's not an event on their Facebook. It's on their website, but it's not an event on their Facebook, so I could have shared that. And I was getting annoyed that they weren't promoting. But they sold 50 tickets. And it turns out they were promoting. And I couldn't, and not in a way that I could find. It wasn't posts, I don't know. They were running ads on Facebook, so it was like ads. But I never saw that on their page. But they were running ads, I suppose. So that was nice of them. And I was like, what are these people doing not posting? But I will say they didn't post on Instagram at all till that day. But on that day, they made a story, and it was so nice. Highfalutin kind of story. Like, it looked nice. I'm not explaining this well. It was like good graphics. I pop up, and it's like, looks cool. I'm like, oh, you should have shared this days ago. Weeks ago, even. But then I went, and it's a brand new club. Brand new, fresh. They don't even have a ton of decorations up. It's a fresh club, and it's very clean and sterile and huge and nice. And the green room's so sick. They have a pool table and like a full, like fancy dressing area and our own bathroom and stuff. And they let you get food. They buy you food from. There's a pizza place and a Chinese place. I got the lo mein. Me and the feature both got the chicken lo mein, couple of lo mains, and then the host got some sort of a general tsao's, I believe. This is all interesting, I know. And the show was very sick, very tight. Went out after, very sick, very tight. That's the thing. I went and got rip-roaring drunk with everyone I came with, or everyone that came to see me that I knew, which was like 8 or 9 people. And then by the end of the night, it was me and my friend Tom. And Tom was just going to just play it by ear, is what he said right away at the beginning of the night. And play it by ear usually means we're going to share a bed, and that's what we did. We got very drunk together, and he couldn't drive to New York, and we slept in my bed together. And we didn't kiss or anything, but I also missed my flight. So, after all I did, I ended up just getting too drunk with Tom. It's not that I got too drunk and missed my flight, it's that I got too drunk and just got too lazy to like look up what fucking time I had to leave, and I just assumed I had to leave at like 8 for like an 11 a.m. flight. And it's like an hour drive, I thought, and it ended up being a lot more than that. And rental car return was gotta do this, gotta do that. And so I was late, so I had to change my flight, lost a little bit of money doing that. So my big idea, while I still think it was a good idea, and it worked, I didn't miss my flight because it was a bad idea to go to New York and then go to D.C. and then go back to New York and then return my car to New York. It would have been a great idea if I had just gotten up like 2 hours earlier. It was still a good idea. Poor Tom, man. Tom fell in love with this girl at my show. I've never once in my life hung out with Tom Brown and he hasn't fallen in love with someone. Anything we do. Every day I have been with him, he has fallen in love with a different person. And this girl he fell in love with at my show. There was 2 sisters that came to my show, hot babes, that knew me from New Girl, I think. Tom said. Tom would talk to one of them, got her number, and was pining over her all night. Cara. Tom is texting Cara. He texts her, Cara, come to the bar after. Me and Ryan are hanging at the bar. Cara with a C. Then he goes, by the way, I'm sorry if it's Cara with a K. Sorry, I assumed. And all night he's just pining and looking at his phone. Really not living in the moment. Honestly. And then she never comes to the bar. They never come to the bar. She never responds. She doesn't even respond, honestly, to be honest. And then we go back to my room and we're drinking in my room. And Tom's just pining. And at one point I look at my phone. I go on my Instagram and I see I got followed by 2 sisters. I'm on my Instagram right now. I got followed by 2 sisters that have the same last name. So I know they're sisters. I look at them. I was like, I think these are the girls from the show. But neither of them are named Cara. And Tom's been talking about Cara all night. And I got followed by Rose and Gianna. I go, dude, neither of these say Cara. You sure her name was Cara? I show him my phone. He goes, dude, that's her. Her name's Rose. He's like, why did I think her name was Cara? Not only was he like, hey, Cara, he was also like, sorry if it's Cara with a K. So he for some reason thought her name was Cara. Her name was Rose. Rose and Gianna, if you guys are listening, thanks for coming. For some reason, Tom thought Rose's name was Cara. So then the next day he texted her and goes, hey, it's been brought to my attention that not only did I misspell your name, but I also completely misheard your name. Blah, blah, blah. He goes like, can I take you to dinner to make up for it? Smooth ass Tom. And then she blocked him. And that's the end of this episode. Of Laser Show. Tom got blocked by Rose. Rose, if you're listening to this, unblock Tom. Tom's the greatest guy I've ever met in my life. You'd be lucky to go to dinner with Tom. Tom's awesome. And you're a fool. but more importantly, thank you for coming to the show. But Tom's a great guy, and he's so sad. So thank you for listening to this episode of Laser Show, episode 12. And I thought of some more episodes I'm going to do. I thought of a great story I got. I'm going to talk about my SNL and New Girl story, which is a combo story. So I think that's going to be my next ep. Because I got a break in between. And I don't do the tour again for a few weeks. So I think I'm going to do that next. So that'll be episode Unlucky 13. And what an unlucky situation it was. The SNL thing. New Girl was great. But tune in then. Thanks for listening. See you later.